Let me tell you what, though, it doesn't take a genius to win awards. You know, I make mistakes all the time. For example, just last week on the air, I said, "A local man dies on the railroad tracks for the 3rd time." It's okay, though, because everyone knows the key to good television journalism is, like, really good hair. I work in local news, so people often ask me, well, where do you find your news stories? And I say, well, the same place you get your news, the newspaper. I'm a morning anchor. So I have to be at work at 4 a.m. every morning. You know, but I get off early, so I can be home and, like, at the bar by 11 a.m. Which is really nice because the guys I'm meeting are all in there from the night before. These guys don't have beer goggles, they've got Scotch goggles. I look amazing. Now, the only problem with this group of guys is that when I say, oh my God, it's like 3 p.m., I have to get home and get to bed, they think I'm trying to pick them up. I am. The biggest mistake you can make, though, is dating a coworker, right? Yeah, I made that mistake with the weather guy. And you know how annoying it is to talk to somebody who always thinks there's a green screen behind him? Try to have a serious conversation with him. You know, I'm like, so, are we a couple?
Well, Heather, the chance of a relationship today is like 26%. But as we, you know, you're gonna see patches of moodiness and insensitivity. And as we take a look a little further down into our week, you can see things aren't looking so clear because I've got issues. Back to you, Heather.
Why can't I just meet a construction worker or something? They get up early too. A girl can dream. I do have a scary new stalker, though, who follows me on Twitter, Plurk, Plaxo, MySpace, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and comments on every single blog posting that I write. And I finally said, Mom, you have to stop this. I'm just afraid she's going to show up at my doorstep one day. Good thing she lives in Texas. Crazy Texas. Yeah. I started my career in Dallas, and I moved to upstate New York for an anchor job. So, I know. So I always heard,
yo, it must have been a big change coming from Texas to New York.
And I'm like, I left a place with big hair and bad accents for a place with big hair and bad accents. The biggest difference I've noticed is the strip clubs. In Dallas, the girls look like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. In upstate New York, they look like the Dallas Cowboys. This lady's looking at me like, what are you doing in the strip clubs? And I'm like, research? And you know, they're open at 11 a.m. for a drink. When people recognize me, they really say the nicest things. Like, you're not as fat as you look on TV! Thank you. And, you know, really, thank you, Sony, for now making all of the TV screens this way. You know, yeah, you see this is it. It looks really good in HD. New York City's changing. They just opened a Bed Bath & Beyond in my Upper West Side neighborhood. You know, that's elitist. Everyone knows there's not room for anything beyond a bed and a bath in New York City apartments.
You know there's a story behind that one, why your dog's name is Wilhelmina. Well, because my dad's name is Willie and my mother's name is Wanda, and the joke was always, your name could have been Wilhelmina, Wilhelmina Josephina. Wouldn't that have been funny? You could have been Willie Joe. We could have called you Willie Joe. Wouldn't that have been great? And I say, yeah, instead of being on the TV news, I could have been on the Jerry Springer show. All right, everybody, let's introduce Willie Joe. And I'm coming out, woo, yeah, you get your hands off my man, baby. You know, your boobs are hanging out all out of your jacket. And oh, wait a minute, I could have been Willie Joe. The other girl said that she was from Boston, but a Yankees fan. I heard some boos. So Red Sox fans over here?
Hell no.
Hell no, one over here. That's what I like about baseball season so much, is the rivalry between the Yankees and the Red Sox. I'm not so much a fan myself. I'm just really happy that football season is over. Not because I'm not a fan of football season, it's just this guy I was dating was really into fantasy football, and you know what that is? Fantasy football, let me move this. Fantasy football is when you pick a team of players from all the different teams, and then to know how your team is doing, you have to keep track of all of them. So, you know, this guy, he couldn't just pay attention to the game that we're watching. He had to flip back and forth on the channel, and then he had to run back and forth from the internet to the TV. And you know, that just violates the spirit of professional sports because there's no time for drinking. Sitting there drinking alone.
Right, I saw a few tattoos up there. How many of you have tattoos? Yeah? No, what do you have? Yeah, what do you have? A tree, a lotus flower, a phoenix, and a peace sign. All the mistakes we make in our 20s.